On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Somebody effed around, and somebody going to find out. We're going to see how it plays out in the big picture. Obviously, I don't know. I don't know if there's an obvious in this. The deep state's going to want to be like, come on, this is just a politician, blah, 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 even though they went after Trump. But the other side's going to be kind of like, well, look, we want to make an example. We don't want politicians to think they can get away with this kind of stuff and not get in trouble. So this can't happen again. We've got to make sure we make this happen. Now, again, the fact that she's dark-skinned is going to be played up. Of course, they're going to play the race card. We're seeing the South Africa stuff going on right now. We are seeing race playing out all over the place. This could very well be one of those things where they may be able to inspire a riot. I don't think she's got the gravitas to pull it off. I don't. Killing somebody when they seem like they were helpless is one thing. Breaking the law when there's actual video showing you literally physically, not assaulting, but battery, right? Physically attacking someone, then, yeah, you kind of don't have any legs to stand on. So, again, we'll see how it all plays out. We've got a lot to talk about. Got a great music show coming up today, live at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern. If you want, you can watch it after the effect. It's always a lot of fun. But we're doing a Van Halen, Van Hagar comparison, and then a Sammy Hagar, David Lee Roth is being thrown in the mix. I'm calling it a 4 for Friday. We're going to do 4 blocks of music from each individual group or subgroup, if you will, and we'll see what you guys think at the end of the game. It should be a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys enjoy. All said, I want to start off with this pretty good piece here with Comer, kind of talking about how things are progressing when it comes to the auto pin. And there's a lot of stories and rumor coming around this right now about them knowing kind of who's involved specifically, and they're going to give them a nice way to come in. If they don't come in the nice way, there's going to be a tougher way. And I'll be curious to see who F's around and finds out in regards to this part of the process.
Congressman James Comer joins me now. All right, Congressman, who are you going to subpoena first?
Well, we're going to request that 4 staffers that we've identified as the main gatekeepers for the Biden White House, that they come and answer our questions. We're also requesting that Dr. O'Connor come. That's the first step towards a subpoena.
Well, tell me first who these 4 people voluntarily are. Who are the 4?
Well, there are no names that anyone that normally watches Fox would know. They're behind the scenes. They fly under the radar. These are the unelected bureaucrats that we believe had an overwhelming influence over Joe Biden and could have possibly been serving as de facto presidents of the United States. The first step to issue a successful subpoena is to offer someone an invitation, a sincere request to come in and answer questions. If they do not, the next step will be the subpoenas. I agree with everything that the last person said about subpoenas, except the special counsel. I think that we can do that in Congress. We're going to bring these people in for depositions and transcribed interviews, and we're going to ask every question that a good journalist like yourself, Jesse, would ask. The American people want to know this. Momentum's on our side. New evidence has emerged just in the last few days, and I think that all eyes will be watching this new investigation by the House Oversight Committee.
So you don't want to say the names, and that's fine. Maybe you don't want to tip anybody off, or maybe establish at least kind of a decent relationship with this thing. Would you expect to subpoena Hunter and Dr. Jill?
Yeah, I think we're going to start with these and see where the road goes. You know, what I said back during the end of the Biden administration, that our sources were telling us that Hunter Biden was spending more time in the Oval Office than Joe Biden.
Wow.
I said on some shows that Hunter Biden was essentially the de facto chief of staff, and people like Jake Tapper made fun of me on the liberal CNNs, and I think Morning Joe did as well. Now Jake Tapper's doing interviews saying, yeah, it looks like Hunter Biden was the de facto chief of staff. That's exactly word for word what I said. But if you have an incompetent president who was a mental invalid, like most Americans are coming to realize, then the de facto chief of staff was essentially the president of the United States. So this is very serious. And when you've got someone like Hunter Biden that everyone agrees was on the take and had zero morals and zero ethics, this is a huge problem. And I think that every American deserves answers. And we're going to bring every single person that was involved in this cover-up in front of Congress and ask them all the questions questions that the American people deserve to have answers for.
So what are the Democrats on your committee going to do? I mean, because they've said that Biden was shot. They've acknowledged that there was a cover-up. Are they going to fight you? Or are they going to go along?
Oh, they'll fight us. That's all they do. They obstruct. They take their talking points from George Soros and the Democrat National Committee. Remember, they fought us saying that Joe Biden was ethical. They fought us when we said Joe Biden was in mental decline. You had people like Dan Goldman and Jamie Raskin go on even Fox News, in addition to the liberal mainstream media networks, and say that, no, they just talked to Joe Biden and he was tip-top. He was in great physical condition. He was at the top of his game. Now they're coming back covering the track saying, yeah, it looks like he was in mental decline. Well, we all know he's in mental decline. What we need to know is who was calling the shots at the White House. And one thing that was also mentioned on your show thus far is that when you sign a document that has legal implications, it has to be signed personally. It can't be signed by an auto pen. You use auto pen for proclamations and mass letters and things like that. So I think that if we can understand more about the auto pen and whether or not Joe Biden authorized it, I think this could lead to a lot of those executive orders being kicked out in court.
All right. And when do you expect these subpoenas to go out?
Well, the letters have already gone out to the staffers as well as Dr. O'Connor. So if we don't hear anything from them in a week, then I would expect to start seeing subpoenas.
And if they fight the subpoena, what do you do?
We'll go to court. Jesse, they're going to try to plead executive privilege, and they're lawyering up, and we're ready. That's why we're making sure every I's dotted and every T's crossed. The best thing that's happened in the last week with respect to this is all the new books that are coming out and all the former Biden staffers who are trying to cover their tracks. You're going to see people like Pete Buttigieg who think they have political futures come forward and say, we didn't know anything. There were gatekeepers. They wouldn't let us speak with Joe Biden. And the more that comes out, the easier it's going to be to get to the truth.
All right. We'll follow.
Yeah, the auto pen's going to be an interesting thing. First off, any fighting they do with executive privilege and all that's going to be funny, because anything they did to Trump, Peter Navarro, Stephen Bannon, all these people, anything they did is going to come back and haunt them. And the judges, the courts, will allow it because the previous administration was allowed to do the same thing to basically the current administration. They're going to let it happen. This is going to be very, very interesting to see how it plays out. Also, in my opinion, I think it's kind of funny how so many people are kind of freaking out about how the news media and everybody covered for Joe Biden's demise, how mentally horrible he was. It was just funny watching the videos they kept showing, and I think they were intentionally done, but Joe was obviously out of his mind when he'd speak, when he'd walk around, just everything. He did so many things constantly to let everybody know. So always the question is, did you realize that Joe was obviously not okay? Did you need somebody else to confirm that, or were you sure of it? And if so, were you talking about it? And if so, awesome. And if you weren't, and you were worried about what everyone else was thinking, you're not really getting the picture yet. It's always about, what are you doing? How are you interacting? How are you making a difference? Who cares what other people are doing? Doesn't matter. If somebody else jumped off a bridge, would you? That was what my parents always said to me, which is odd considering they follow everybody. They probably, my stepmom would probably, in fact, jump off a bridge. She probably would. Department of Justice pardon attorney Ed Martin says a whistleblower has come forward in the Biden auto pen scandal, naming Ron Klain, Anita Dunn, Bob Bauer, Steve Ricchetti, and Jill Biden as key operators. Investigators also found the same machine-generated signature on pardons for Fauci and for Milley. So the information is going to come out. And we're going to find out other people did this on behalf of these individuals. This is just going to be a scandal beyond scandals. Trump's image of dead white farmers came from Reuters footage in Congo, not South Africa. What's interesting, and I think this is the main part of it, and it was called out by Levitt. I'm not surprised Reuters is trying to spin it in a different direction. Levitt pointed out beautifully that AP is who shared this story. The graphic they used for the South African killings was, in fact, this video. She's doing that, I think, intentionally. I think they know exactly where this actual place is, which is supposedly in Congo. But the AP, who are the ones that are kicked out because they refuse to acknowledge that Gulf of America is that, and they're not allowed to really be much of a news center anymore, or a part of the Wire. The Wire group has been more or less kicked out. They don't get guaranteed seating anymore. This is destroying them, and I think that's part of what they're doing. AP is a mess. Always has been. It's been a CIA news front controlled thing forever. All of AP goes to every single news agency. Every single major radio station gets an AP news feed. They pay for it. There's a subscription that you have to pay, and it's not cheap. Almost every single. Again, it's a little expensive. Some of the smaller stations can't afford it. And this is where the programming was coming from. South African government published a draft regulation Friday allowing foreign companies to meet a 30% quota of black ownership through equivalents, such as investing in projects aimed at economic equality. What this essentially means is Musk is not allowed to do Starlink in South Africa, because if he were to do that, his company, he would have to sell 30% of the shares of Starlink to a all-black organization. And probably at a discount, because, that would not be cheap, that's for sure. So he's not able to, because of the odd reverse racism that's going on right now in South Africa. Again, the white people ended up there way back in like the 1700s, and it was purpose because they were at war with France. England and France were at war. That was an extremely key place. They essentially took it over by force way the hell back then, though, which, I'm not saying makes it better, but it's not like they just did this. And so to all of a sudden decide that white people are the scourge of the earth and start killing and oppressing and literally hunting down white people, that's pretty messed up. And so for a leader to come here with his hand out hoping to get money, all the while he's currently slaughtering white people, which is called genocide, by the way, when you do that, when you go after a specific race, no matter what color they are, even though I'm sure many people right now are like, well, it's not genocide if they kill white people, because they got this weird thing in their minds that it's not wrong to hate the major race. It's wrong to hate any race, people. Just to hate somebody based off their race, that's wrong. I don't care what you call it. I don't care if you call it prejudice or what you call it. I don't care. Hating anybody on something as stupid as what color their skin is, what creed they are, like, I hate him because he's gay. That's stupid. I hate him because they're from Iran. That's stupid. I hate him because they're girls or boys. That's stupid. All of it. Martin Luther King was a brilliant man, and it's such a shame how far away we've fallen from what he was teaching. And he was, I thought, him and Lennon, man. I should say John Lennon, just to be very specific. You guys don't think I'm talking about communist Lennon guy, right? But we came so far, and yet that got changed so brutally. It still baffles my mind. I don't know what it is. This is kind of cool. O'Keefe is basically sounds like pulling some punches here, he's not gonna be pulling any more punches. He's going after Project Veritas, it sounds like. Check this out.
James O'Keefe just released video of Epstein's library, right?
His undercover videos were amazing.
Incredible.
And then he got ousted at Project Veritas, right? And then went.
I wonder what happened there. I'd like to know what the story there is, because there's no official story. The guy who releases everything, why wouldn't he release that?
Fortunately, I have recordings and documents to back up everything I'm about to tell you.
Employees were starting to bundle up and talk.
If we're about to paint James as a criminal, it better be fucking good.
They sent a pic of me nailed to a cross.
They used these kids. Matt used them to further his agenda.
The reason why James was bad was morphing.
I never lived this lifestyle with black card.
He's a mean boss.
Stress with his girlfriend is not appropriate.
I don't know that James has a private life.
James took a pregnant woman's sandwich. And these are people that we thought were people with integrity.
Who on the board is in control?
Turns out board members are taking money from donors.
How much did you invest in each of Matt Tierman's companies?
I don't think that's any of your business.
We're at the pinnacle of Mount Everest.
Are you refusing to answer the question?
Yes.
The only thing that has changed is that we broke the biggest story in our organization's history.
If a board statement goes out, it's fucking over.
A week later, everything changed.
And it wasn't right.
It was the timing of it that was so suspicious.
Is it fair to say that 3 of the 4 companies you've invested in, you would consider to be in the medical field?
So what did the board think people were going to assume?
One of the companies could be sold to a big pharma.
Like Pfizer?
Like Pfizer.
Did the board not think that people were going to assume the worst?
I want to talk about your investments.
I want to talk about you.
I'm a fighter.
You're a cheat.
I'm a warrior.
You're a liar.
And I will get my justice. Not revenge, but justice.
Is it all about money?
Too bad you can't afford that.
Big difference.
How do you define conflict of interest?
I love the production value. It's probably one of the things I like best about And We Know. That dude is just so good at putting together a video. I would love to be able to mix our styles a little bit. Him and I think we could actually, it would be like the best news source. Otherwise, now you just got to watch both of us. Too bad. Sorry. New Hampshire Governor Ayate signs a bill banning sanctuary communities. That's pretty freaking awesome. Good on you, New Hampshire. Literally prohibiting from enacting sanctuary policies, limiting cooperation with federal immigration crackdowns under a bill signed by Governor Kelly Ayotte on Thursday. I'm just going to go with it. It's got to be close to that. Should be, anyways. She's mispronouncing her name if she says it any other way. 60 illegal aliens have been convicted for illegally entering Trump's national defense area. It's kind of a little wishy-washy. They seem like they're having a hard time with the legality of it, but with this 60 people, this might actually help in the big picture moving forward. All said, these 60 people admitted to it. By admitting to it, well, it took away a lot of the difficulty in prosecuting them. So, yeah, that was pretty simple. Doge official says they found illegal immigrants who have, in fact, voted in the United States. We've already had 3 arrests in Florida, 1 indictment. Let's see, we got earlier this year. Gracias, was it Garcias or Gracias? Is his name really Gracias? It is. Antonio Gracias. Well, you're welcome. He was tapped by Doge and tech billionaire Elon Musk to look into Social Security records and other government data. Musk said in an event last month, well, apparently this guy has found some good stuff. He said, quote, yes, this is actually true. He's responding to a question about whether Doge has discovered illegal immigrants and who are registered to vote in the U.S. elections. He cited Doge's efforts in sampling a handful of states and their voter rolls and noted that these records were cross-referenced with the Department of Homeland Security's investigatory arm. Doge found that there were illegal immigrants registered to vote and that those people have actually voted. Says, my opinion is that this is the tip of the iceberg, he says, referring to the findings of voter fraud. How big the iceberg is? I don't know. Yeah, this is probably much larger. I know I used to kind of think like a lot of people, it's just one person's 2 people. Here's the thing. There might have been thousands of people, millions of people, who knows, probably thousands and thousands that did it, right? You arrest 100. Next year, there's going to be far fewer that'll do it. So sometimes actually, arresting people for the law that they're supposed to do actually helps keep people following the law, right? And they know there's something. It's like when they were stealing madly here in California, no one ever got busted for it. Well, so long as it wasn't the county I live in. If it's the county I live in, they literally ended up in jail. We have different laws here. LA County is a fucking mess. We're going to talk about that coming up. Federal grand jury indicted a Colombian national Thursday on allegations of living in the United States unlawfully for years under a stolen identity, even receiving hundreds of thousands in government benefits and voting in the last presidential election. That's not going to be happening again. Bail conditions have been set for Congresswoman involved in the ICE detention center clash in New Jersey. She was basically allowed to leave, so I don't even know if she filed bail and it was just very low. They said she could resume travel for work, but not necessarily vacation. The lawyers were arguing that she should be allowed to do that because she's obviously not a flight risk. Whatever the case is, her next scheduled appearance is June 11th, in which case she has to show up in person. The last one was virtual. Supposedly took all but 15 minutes. Judge just kind of explained what was up, and you understand what's happening, and don't make a plea yet. That'll come later. And all right, cool. Here's the bail. And so, yeah, 2 felonies that she is being charged, allegedly assaulting. Well, there's no allegedly about it. We've all seen the video. She assaulted, battered, or whatever, 2 federal officers. Made her first court appearance on May 21st and was released on travel restrictions. So we've seen the video. She has her arms up. I actually have my camera on this time. And she has her arms up, and you can see her actually push. I mean, sorry. It's not okay. You can't say it was an accident. I was trying to get to so-and-so. You just pushed through cops that were barricading you. Not okay. Supreme Court reinstates Maine lawmaker suspended over transgender sports policy. This is fun how this kind of played out. The long and skinny of it is Supreme Court, I think it was the nation's Supreme Court, literally said, look, you can't take away this individual's vote, and you can't silence them because of what their free speech, what they said. First off, when they're on the pulpit where she said it, you can do whatever you want. Then to turn around and actually silence their ability to vote, what you're doing is silencing her constituents' ability to have a say, to have an equal voice in government. You're essentially breaking the Constitution by silencing somebody over things they said. Get censure them, whatever, fine. But literally removing their ability to sit on any committees and or vote is, apparently not legal. So, yeah, the states are pissed off about it, but whatever, who cares? Supreme Court signals Trump. This is funny. So I pointed this out because Politico is so horrible. Again, I think I have, one other story by them, and I go through them. They're one of the sources I check, and every once in a while I find something. But this was just such a beautiful example of a lie, an outright lie, and I just thought I would demonstrate it because it was pretty freaking cool. So right here, the Supreme Court on Thursday said the relationship between the president and the Federal Reserve is different from that of other independent agencies, signaling that Chair Jerome Powell is legally protected from being removed by President Donald Trump. This is so not true. The statement is part true, but not true. Here's what the actual statement is. Notably, the Federal Reserve Act, the law governing the central bank, does allow the U.S. president to remove the Federal Reserve Board members for cause in cases of negligence, of duty, misconduct, or corruption. However, the law does not allow top Fed officials to be fired over policy difference. Well, that's a very different statement, isn't it, Politico? It does, in fact, allow Trump to fire him for cause. What you said is a blatant lie. That's what this says. Now, I'm going to assume it's a lie, but it's very possible that Victoria Guida is a dumb shit. That's also possible. For now, I'm just going to assume it's a lie. Trump administration issues reforms to keep foreigners off voter rolls. This is cool. They've got this new tool, right? So he says, for years, states have pleaded for tools to help identify and stop aliens from hijacking our elections. Under the leadership of President Trump and Secretary Noem, USCIS is moving quickly to eliminate voter fraud. We expect further improvements soon and remain committed to restoring trust in American elections. You see, we are making the next election almost impossible to cheat. And by doing that, we probably don't have to worry as much about the midterms as maybe we were afraid we would, right? Things are actually moving in the right direction. Interesting thing for all you guys that have been complaining about X being slow since Thursday. Apparently X had a fire at one of their data centers, oddly up in Portland, Oregon. And it was causing a huge problem. And it would. They typically would replicate data into multiple places, but usually why you have data centers in certain locations is because of proximity to the user. Sometimes it just makes it quicker and faster and more sense. And then you can replicate elsewhere, over time, which is usually lags at best like half a second or milliseconds, but still, nonetheless. I don't know, significant thing. This would affect a lot of what the people were complaining about. I certainly saw some weird behaviors, unquestionably, too. So, yeah, X was having some issues. Want to remind you guys, of course, of the Wellness Company. These just incredible products. First off, everything. They've got really, really good supplement lines. If you're looking for any sort of supplements, having trouble sleeping, wanting to help your hair grow, whatever it is, right? You want to have stronger bones, calcium, all that stuff. They've got an amazing supplement line. They're very, very nice prices, too. You're going to love the prices. So definitely check it out. They've got a lot of wellness farms, like just stuff that doesn't have a bunch of nasties in it. Broccoli sprouts, bison liver, bison trifecta. They got meat boxes where, it's grain or grass-fed, just healthier choices. The emergency kits are something I'm extraordinarily fond of. One, the Contagion kit is extremely good because it's got all your stuff for antivirals. Just boom, right off the bat. Antiviral, antimicrobial, essentially. But it's not kind of the way you want to necessarily treat a larger problem. This is if you get sick. This is if you get the flu or whatever they're going to call it, right? And the kit is supposed to be per person. I think you could get away with 2 people on them. Again, I'm not a doctor, but there's enough pills. I think if you both got sick at the same relative time, you'd probably make it through fine. I think outside of that, you're risking it big time, and it really is designed for one. Keep that in mind when you call them and say, hey, I need a refill, because you can do that, I think, up to 3 times over a 2-year span, something to that effect, and you get a much reduced price. Just don't go saying, me and my wife were taking it. That's not how you should say that. Contagion kit's super cool. They've got emergency kit. They've got a medical kit that's got a lot of like antibiotics and good stuff like that. Travel kit's really important. If you're somebody that spends any time driving, you want to have an emergency kit in your car. You just do. You should have blankets, water. You should have a lot of emergency supplies. Just God forbid something happens. You want to make sure that you're not, and also if you wear shit shoes, ladies, put some tennis shoes. Put some shit tennis shoes in your car. I mean, you may not want anybody to see you in them, but that's not why they're there. In case there's an emergency and you need actual shoes, not heels. So keep these things in mind. It's very important. And finally, one of the most important products we have is the ivermectin mebendazole. This is anti-parasite. Any of you guys that have heard any of the stuff, parasites are being directly related to some, if not many, of the cancers. I'm saying it carefully. There's a lot of studies coming out showing this correlation. This also studies coming out showing the power of ivermectin and mebendazole in helping in that case. Now, this parasite cleanse is 90-day supply. It's a 3-month supply. It's a reasonably high dose. The Ivers I take typically has been 15 milligrams. So these are 25 milligrams. This is a pretty strong Ivers. Then you got 250 milligrams of mebendazole. You do this every day, you're destroying parasites anywhere in your body. And that will change your health. You know that. Go to twc.health/OTF. TWC, the Wellness Company. twc.health/OTF. Make these smart choices, healthy choices. Keep yourself alive. Make sure you've got stuff for your family, because we just don't know. Be prepared for most of the common things that they're possibly coming at us for. This one's huge, though. This one's huge. Big time. twc.health/OTF. Rock and roll. Follow the pen, they say. This is Catherine Herod. She's sharing an update from a newly released report by Tulsi Gabbard. The report reveals a declassified December 2021 document by the FBI, DHS, and NCTC that labels Americans opposing COVID-19 vaccines and mask mandates as domestic violent extremists, DVEs. This classification potentially violates First Amendment rights by enabling government assessments of individuals based on their skepticism, as noted by former FBI agent Steve Friend. The report claims that anti-government or anti-authority violent extremists, specifically militias, characterize COVID-19 vaccinations and mask mandates as evidence of government overreach. It states that a sweeping range of COVID narratives have resonated with DVEs motivated by QAnon. Yes. They were profiling all of us back then, especially those of us that are on the radar a little bit, right? Trump's big, beautiful bill faces a swarm of Senate GOP objections. The Senate's pretty pissed off about it for a few things. One, the SALT thing. None of the senators that are Republicans are in states that are blue. They're all just red states, so I guess you don't make it to Senate unless your state, but you could be a Republican in a blue state. And this SALT thing was like the best you had because blue states overtax their people. Personally, I like the idea of a higher SALT deduction. That's awesome. That helps me out tremendously. I pay way too much money in taxes to California. It'd be awesome to be able to write that off to the federal government. It's kind of weird that they're fighting so hard against this because obviously it is less tax revenue. You're allowed to write off any of the bullshit you pay, which is super helpful. But it's, again, less revenue in the pockets of the coffers in Washington, D.C. So that's one of the obstacles getting called out. The other is increasing the debt ceiling. They're very unhappy about that. Senate GOP, like I said, they were weighing the salt. They said they may offer up 40 grand instead of the 50, so 4,400, I think, instead of 500,000. Again, I don't understand why, but this is one of the things they're pissed about. They kind of want the House to go back to the drawing board. I kind of almost think the Senate needs to suck it up and take it as is. 7 things, again, Politico, 7 things that they... senators are saying are problems. I'm going to say in a lot. I think half of these at least, which good luck figuring that out at 7, but at least half of these are, I think, just like you got to suck it up, figure out how to sell it to your constituents because that's what it comes down to. But they said the spending cuts are weak. I get it, but literally getting anybody to agree on anything right now, I think is tricky. I actually commend Johnson's ability to get this through. He didn't get the $2 trillion in cuts that he was hoping, but he hit $1.5 trillion. That's pretty damn good. It's a step in the right direction. Again, to be super, super hardcore when just getting all of these cats herded into a room was tricky enough. I just kind of wonder about that one. Medicaid financing changes. They don't like this at all because this is going to cost a lot of these red states money. They've been essentially using the illegal stuff to fund a lot of their hospitals. And yeah, they don't want to stop doing that, or they don't have enough time yet to fix that or whatever. So they're calling it Medicaid. They're going to claim that this is taking away the product from people that deserve it, but in reality, it's just taking it away from people that are illegally using it. And sure, to your point, that might be how some of your hospitals stay open. That's not necessarily good nor right. So again, this is another one of those where I kind of think they should just suck it up. Business tax sunsets. House Republicans chose to restore certain business cuts. Senate Republicans are looking in particular at permanently extending these tax incentives. They want to kind of do it in a different phraseology, I guess, so it's harder to get rid of. And I don't know, it doesn't mess with the revenue reporting that we're supposed to get. Like, I don't know, there's some weird little thing they tried to get into at some place, but that one's probably good, though. Like permanent tax breaks, that'd be fun. Accounting methods, this is one of the ones, where they're talking about novel tax ways of showing how tax breaks affect GOP or GDP, and overall government funds and blah blah blah. So again, I don't think they should be doing crazy accounting methods to get through this. But I also think we found out that the government budgeting office, I think Congressional Budget Office, CBO, they are full of shit. None of their numbers are making any sense, so that's problematic. So whatever. All sorts of problems going on in Congress right now. State cost sharing for food aid. House bill phase would require that states cover part of the cost. Now, there's a reason for this, I think. I get why the senators don't want that because, they don't want to have to pay for it. But here's the thing. We need states to take ownership in whether or not they're making sure people are eligible and all that stuff. And the only way they can happen is at the state level. The only way you can get the state to do extra work is to put their ass on the line. So if it's their money too, they're going to make sure that the people receiving these funds adequately should be. And so I think it's a way to hold the states responsible for making sure this is done properly. So I actually think that's a good idea. And I think the senators should, again, suck it or shove it up their butts, one of the two. Drastic cuts to clean energy incentives. I get why Trump's doing this. And again, I was brought up in the same school system. I mean, I'll admit there's still this small part of me that's like, we could probably be more efficient with our resources, right? Like, I just feel like that's probably true. I'd love to see, somehow a supercharged engine that still gets 75 miles to the gallon, right? Like, that'd be rad. It's still super fast or something crazy, or maybe it's an engine and then it runs electric. I don't know, whatever. It's fun to dream big, right? So, I don't know. They're trying to get rid of a lot of the incentives for having green devices or things along those lines. And I think it's because they don't want more states to invest into wind farms, solar, and stuff like that, when in reality, like Trump just signed an executive order today, I think I've got it somewhere, where he's making nuclear energy easier to fire up. Right now, China's firing up a nuke plant every week. If we don't have enough power, one for AI and stuff like that, we're screwed. And so that is one of the biggest concerns that Trump has, is we need to ramp up the amount of megawatts we're producing in our electric grids ASAP, and it needs to be huge. Now, a lot of these nuclear facilities that he builds are probably going to directly power straight to, and these companies will probably help pay for it, but these server farms or whatever used for AI, odds are they're gonna come out and build these server farms, the building, the structure, all that, and then help pay, if not fully pay, for a nuke reactor to power them. So they've got their own power, and then they can, give back to the grid their extra power, essentially, if you will, or the remainder of the power if they've got a multi-megawatt facility. And it would also help us through, wintertime, summertime, when we're using more energy than normal. State and local tax deduction cap. This goes back to that whole SALT thing, so we'll see what they choose to do. A bunch of craziness. President Trump did sign the executive orders allowing for more nuke devices. I don't want to spend the 5 minutes playing it, but yeah, he's definitely going to be doing that for us. We also got 1 million apprenticeships, apparently. This is kind of cool. The Labor Secretary reveals plans to execute Trump's directive for working class boom. He wants to have 1 million apprenticeships happening in the country at any one given time. And right now, they're saying it's somewhere between 680,000 to 700,000 at a time. This would add a whole lot of apprenticeships, which is going to be needed when we start building and factoring out. And that's one of the things that that a lot of people, when they talk about how long it takes to build a factory, they aren't looking at it from the standpoint that literally Trump is looking at this saying, look, we're going to have AI help us design and build these things and help figure out where is some of the best places to put it. We're going to have extra apprenticeships already so they can help with all the electricity, electrical work, and stuff like that. Folks, this is like, if you're somebody that's sort of younger, highly recommend you think about possibly learning a skill like electrician or even plumbing, for that matter, HVAC even too. These are 3 areas that aren't going away with AI, that's for sure. AI is just going to probably try to make their lives simpler and maybe require less staff at home. But these are jobs you make really, really good money. Really, really good money, and they're very, very needed. So this is a big step towards almost putting us on like a war footing, if you will, when it comes to building weapons. We're kind of going on a manufacturing footing to become a great nation, hopefully a rich, wonderful nation. Lutnick, this is pretty cool what he talks about in this video. So I want to share this if I can.
For the first time ever, this report examines some of the root causes that many believe are making our children sicker and our population sicker, I guess. It just doesn't stop with the children.
That's not what I wanted it to be, that's for sure. One thing that's Lutnick said, I thought I actually had the video of him saying it, but one thing he talked about is 10% tariffs. 10% tariffs are a neat little sweet spot. They don't affect the price. That's what he's talking about. He was talking about Amazon's recent earnings report, not showing anything there. They said, so 10% is not going to see it. Above 15%, he goes, I agree. You're going to see it. But China eats the above numbers right now. China does it through, he says, 2 ways. So it's not about China, but the rest of the world, he continued. At 10%, you're not going to feel anything at all, in my opinion. Lutnick added that the baseline tariff, which President Trump rolled out last month as part of the Liberation Day trade agenda, it's bringing in about $30 billion a month in revenue without raising prices on Americans. That's pretty sweet. Even though our Moody's rating has been dropped, right? Again, which is not good. And the whole Moody thing, they're not counting the fact that the President of the United States of America has said we're going to earn more money from tariffs and we're not going to get ripped off anymore. He goes, and I think you're going to see interest rates go in the other direction. So, again, we're seeing everything happen. They're trying to blame Trump every step of the way. This is the same thing we're seeing, and we'll get there in a sec, real quick. We'll start getting there. Trump has been very careful. You remember when the whole trade thing happened with China, right? And then they finally announced a deal. And prior to that, the stock market was just, nosediving. And then we reached a deal, and then suddenly it starts buying back, right? Of course, we're seeing movements in crypto at the same times, oddly. Trump tells Apple, look, here's the deal. Make iPhones in the U.S. or face a tariff. He said, I don't give a shit if you're planning on making them in India instead of China. That's fine. You're still paying a tariff. He said 25% tariff on iPhones unless you make American-sold iPhones here in the United States. That is a powerful statement. Now, I guess if you're an iPhone user, it might suck because, the price of an iPhone might go up. We'll see. We'll see how that works out. We'll see how much of that can be done by machines, too, because ultimately, if it's just machines, then we just need to make sure it's power, and we have a number of people for testing or whatever they got to do. We're not going to make it with people like China does. We're going to come in with a lot of these factories that we're building from the ground up, brand new, with robotics in mind. And for a lot of people that are like, that's not fair, those should be jobs for people. No, people shouldn't have to do stupid stuff, and also people make mistakes. You get a machine to do something, it's going to do it perfectly every single time, unless the machine breaks. It's going to do it perfectly every single time. Humans don't work like that. That's not how we're wired, and nor should we. There's better uses of our time. You can be one of the people selling. You can be one of the people distributing. You can be one of the people. There's a lot of jobs that this will create. The manufacturing part should be done by machines, I think, personally. Put that in the comments, too. That's a good question. Trump threatens 50% tariff on the EU as negotiations are going nowhere. This caused the stock market to get ugly. Not as bad. Looks like it's rebounded some of what it started out as. Yeah, it's come back a bit, but it went down hard this morning. S&P, much the same. That's the same exact graph, by the way, which should also trip people out. Gold, I think, started negative, but it's up a lot right now. Yeah, it was barely negative, at least at the point I was looking at it. And then, so it's up 68. So it's at 33.63. It's been holding that 33 mark pretty solid right now. It's been up and down a little bit, but it's dialing in. Folks, we got a lot happening. Again, Trump got the China thing fixed, and then the Europe thing happens because Europe's a mess. He's been sort of hinting at it. And the stock market can't really get mad until he actually does something. Today, he finally said something. He's just slapping a tariff on EU and screw them. We'll try to figure it out, but it's 50% tariff until you guys can figure out how to come to the table and stop being doucheholes. That's it. So Mercedes got a 50% tariff on it. That's going to go into the price of the car. Any German cars, any Italian cars, all of them. Again, it's not going to affect everybody. That's for sure. Volkswagen, I don't know how much is made here in the United States, but Farfig-Nugan is not going to be as fun these days when you got to pay that much money. So again, a lot to consider. We got, markets are starting to sweat. This is kind of funny. The 10-year is about to hit 5%. This is the 10-year Treasury. What that kind of means in the big picture is there is a certain amount of risk to reward in the stock market. And I forget the index they call it. But the 5% mark on treasuries is kind of the sweet spot where the stock market starts to look like a bad choice and putting money into treasuries starts to look like a good choice. Now, our 20, 30, and 40-year yields are kind of high too, and they had no auctions on some of the debt they were trying to sell. Like Japan's in a world of hurt right now too. They're actually really, really bad shape right now. Their bond market's imploding. Goldman Sachs was kind of talking about it, but they're screwed. I mean, they're just Japanese. I think we're literally watching the Japanese economy crash for the final time. I think the 80s, they went through a version of this. A lot of it was when I think we stopped pulling a lot of stuff out. Then they came in here and got involved with our cars. Might have been the 70s when we kicked them out. I forget it. Because I know the gas prices brought the smaller cars, and then we, started all driving around in those itty-bitty little rice burners that we called them back in the day. China's 2-decade global steel expansion is now ended. So for 2 decades, their steel production had grown every single year. Grown. They were just doing more and more steel production. It was threatening our steel industry. I think that was why we were trying to sell it to Japan. Hopefully that didn't go through, but I'm not sure. But China finally posted negative growth in the steel vicinity. So it seems that growth is over. Some of it's because they're kind of not really building or growing anymore internally. They're kind of in a weird flattened phase. And the rest of the world doesn't seem to necessarily need it as much right now either. So that's getting interesting. Dollar is near the breakdown as hedging activity surges. So again, the dollar is just, there's a lot of weird things that are happening right now. And I guess there's some of these metrics that are starting to show that the dollar is reaching a place where people are going to start either trying to dump them, they don't want to get them. It's going to weaken the dollar. And one of the things, this is the chart that I thought was kind of interesting. So currency reserve status usually lasts about 100 years. There's a couple examples where it's not quite 100, but for the most part, almost always 100 years. Italy way back in 1325 to 1425-ish, right? Italy was the coin. Spain then ends up grabbing a good chunk of this. France for a while. Then it was the UK. Then it was the United States, 1925, right around the war. And that seems to be waning. I think we're going to multipolar at this point. I don't think there's going to be a single currency. In fact, I think everybody's going to kind of trade in their own currencies, which is kind of a smarter way to do it, frankly. It makes you responsible for your asset-backed currency and make sure that you're doing all the proper things to not screw up your numbers, basically, right? So this is a component that's definitely going to cause the price of gold and silver to go up. When the dollar value starts to get lost, the prices of gold and silver will go through the roof at that point. There's a lot of shadiness happening, folks. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck with your hand in the cookie jar. Don't get stuck waiting. Don't get stuck trying to find out whether or not you should do this. Honestly, I think you should get the ball rolling and then see where things are at when it's time to pull the pin. But when this top finally falls, it'll be too late for you to get out. I mean, we've seen it. It moves too much too fast. Crypto, many could say, is a great way to make money. I don't think it's an investment as much as a great place that you can make money because of how volatile it is. We've got countries literally pumping money into crypto. You'll see the price go way up right now. Bitcoin is extraordinarily high, right? Over 112 or something. I don't know, something crazy. That it's not going to stay there. When the stock market's either in Tokyo, because that bond market shock was showing that it was affecting Tokyo stock prices, when that sort of goes down again, a lot of that money is going to come out of crypto and buy in those stocks there. And that's what they do. A lot of the times they'll sell it into crypto, they'll hold it there, and I think it's because there's fewer fees, frankly. It's a cheaper place to hold the money. And you could make money because when you pump a bunch of money into it, it causes the price to go up, which causes other people to get into it, which causes the price to go up even a little further. And then you pull all yours out, so you actually made some money while you were there. You screwed everybody that bought after you bought. They're all screwed. They just lost a bunch of money. And so the cycle goes. A lot of things are happening, and they're happening quickly. I don't think you want to get stuck behind the 8 ball. Make sure you get the ball rolling. There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to getting out of a 401k or an IRA. You can get out tax-free and penalty-free. Whole bunch of moving parts. Whole bunch of pieces that need to be done. They need to be done correctly and legally, and you can do it again tax-free, penalty-free. Let my good friends at Goldco help you out. drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Their system is definitely fading. The deep state system has to come down. That's worldwide. I don't know how all this is playing out exactly. We see what Trump's doing, and he's taking it piece by piece. This is part of the asset-backed system. He's already starting to build the reserve system. It's how little damage can we do to the current fragile system in the process. You're protecting your wealth. While all the craziness is happening, all the ups and downs, you're going to notice the price of gold and silver is going to continue to just edge up and up and up. It's just going to. You're going to be okay. You'll be protected. And then once we've got an asset-backed currency, well, guess what? You're sitting on a bunch of assets, actual physical assets that are worth something. You cash them in at that point for the new US dollar or treasury or whatever we call it. Get out of their system. Goldco's got the highest price buyback guarantee for that matter. Up to 10%, they'll match in free silver to what your face value of your 401k. It's incremented, so again, up to 10% of your face value. If you do $100,000, literally in this case, $100,000, they're going to give you $10,000 of free silver on top of what you're doing already. That's part of the deal. You're also going to qualify probably for that Ronald Reagan coin. You guys have seen it a bunch of times, half-ounce coin. Just put the data points in, give them the information that they need and want, see what you got going on, get the ball rolling. If you decide you want to pull the pin, pull the pin. If you don't, at least you've got things queued up and ready to go. Because frankly, folks, this is definitely one of those things where you don't want to be sitting on your hands when the time comes. Go to drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold. Let's try that again. drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Get out of their system before they get out of you. All right, there you go. Supreme Court is saying that the children of illegal aliens or tourists are not U.S. citizens. This is interesting. It's a fun little direction and discussion that's being had about the birthright stuff. And what it basically comes down to, if you're here legally, now I don't mean you're a citizen, but legally, meaning you got a green card, the United States government's aware that you're coming, they've done the paperwork, you are here on that behalf. When that happens, you're actually kind of under the custody of the United States. The United States is going to do its best to protect you while you're within its borders. You may not be a citizen, but you're going to be afforded much of the same protections that citizens get. You're here because you're supposed to be. We know you're here. When that happens, if they pop out a baby, and there's been a number of cases they share in here, if they pop out a baby because they're here legally, then that baby has birthright citizenship. If you're not here legally, meaning nobody knows you're here, you haven't properly come into this country with permission, and then you pop out a baby, that baby most likely, and we'll see what the Supreme Court decides, but most likely that will not be a birthright citizenship situation. This is not to catch all of everybody that wants to try to, step across the line while they're pregnant and hopefully right before labor goes in. No, it's not how it works. And I'm pretty sure the Supreme Court's probably, it's definitely not going to be unanimous, but they'll probably get this one across 5-4, my guess. And it'll probably be based off of the logic we were just discussing. So we'll see how that plays out. Noam on the dismissal of the lawsuit for sending migrants to Guantanamo Bay, that lawsuit that she had going on. Well, it got dismissed, and she basically went to Twitter and said, suck it, to all the people that were trying to push that through, which that's kind of probably what I would say. And, I mean, if she's offering, sure. Yes, please. DNC sets June vote over redoing election on David Hogg's vice chair role. I've been kind of ignoring this. I just think it's funny. They hate this dude. The DNC hates this dude. And right now he's running the DNC. He doesn't want to step down. He doesn't want to get out of the way. He's like the AOC of the DNC right now. It's kind of funny. And he's literally like, look, we're going to primary anybody that's not doing the stuff they're supposed to be doing. And I think some of the threats are going to some of the older members, your Pelosi's and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it's they hate his ass. So they're desperately trying to get him out. They've got an electronic ballot that members are going to be voting from June 9th to June 11th. Like, obviously their vote doesn't matter. We've seen that numerous times. I think it's funny that DNC members are going to be like, oh, yeah, we're going to vote. And you think that vote's going to count? Come on. You guys can't be that naive. Really? We've got Secretary Kennedy. We got some good stuff when it comes to the MAHA and the direction we're heading. And here is a bit that he's got coming up regarding SNAP and some of the stuff that he's doing. Again, I don't like the idea of feeding our kids nasty food. I don't like the idea of eating nasty food myself. Again, if you have to, you have to. But a lot of people don't realize how many of our health issues are involved in a couple things. One, I mean, obviously the chakras, I've talked about it. But I think a lot of times when you got messed up chakras, you're going to also be kind of attracted to messed up food choices too, right? It's part of the joy of all that. But needless to say, those middle aisles in the grocery store are full of heavily processed foods. And having SNAP pay for stuff like that, when in the reality, what SNAP is supposed to do is help with your health and nutrition, not just give you an excuse to be fat and gross. So eating nasty foods, drinking sodas and things like that. No, get some juice or something. May not be the best thing for your teeth, but certainly better for you calorically than cola. Cola's horrible for your teeth too, for that matter. So anyway, here's RFK Jr. talking about something, what I just spewed out.
We are already in the middle of completing the dietary guidelines. We're reducing the dietary guidelines from a 453-page document that we inherited from the Biden administration that was driven by the same industry impulses that put Fruit Loops at the top of the food pyramid. We're going to deliver instead a 4 or 5-page document that tells people how to give healthy food to their children. Those dietary guidelines will then drive changes in the school lunch programs all over this country. We are writing SNAP waivers every day to the states that are applying for them so that sodas and candies are no longer available using food stamps. Taxpayers should not be paying for food-like substances that are chemically based that are poisoning our population.
And the thing that most people don't necessarily key together right off the bat, but should, is the government was lobbied by Coca-Cola, Pepsi, the soda industries, lobbied by probably the candy industries, lobbied, right? And they lobby them so that they can get these foods added, so they can get their nasty foods added to the SNAP program. And of course, the politicians do that because they get bought and paid for. That's how it works. Or they get guaranteed votes, or they get guaranteed donations. That is part of the crap that goes on inside our governments. Why it is going to be very difficult to find true politicians that truly do, like the olden days, really. Like you go in and you spend 3 months a year being a member of the House, and then you go back to your job. Like that's kind of probably how it should be. Not the way it is now. And yeah, we've got to change this so they're constantly trying to get reelected into actually constantly trying to do something positive for all of us. So we'll see how it is. But yeah, zero processed foods, zero vegetable oils, zero sugars, including sodas. Oh, juice even. Okay, still. Minimal refined carbs. So good stuff. Unlimited animal proteins, eggs, whole foods, and some dairy. I assume they're also going to include probably soy products, maybe, though I don't know where they're going to be at with genetically modified. And I don't think soy is necessarily healthy. For a dude, it's not. Women, I don't know, it can cause some estrogen problems with them too, and some hormonal imbalance issues because the way it is used inside the body. It's not really a good thing for anybody to eat, frankly, but whatever. RFK Jr. softens his pledge to find autism caused by September, basically saying, look, we're going to have some studies done by September, but there's a whole lot of things that we're getting the project getting moving, and it's just not going to be done by September. And so some people are trying to give him a hard time about this. I don't know, whatever. I thought when he said September, I thought that was frankly ridiculously aggressive. He does think we're going to have a bunch of information available to us, but by no means are we going to be at a point yet where we're going to know absolutely the cause of autism by September. And yeah, that was, and if anything, it might have hurt his credibility a teeny bit, in that anybody that's worked in the government knew full well there's no chance in hell of that happening, and making a promise like that was kind of, I don't want to say irresponsible, it was just naive is what it was. And again, no disrespecting Kennedy. Love the dude. So whatever, it's cool. He's got my love. He's got my support. It's at least placed here because it belongs here. I'm bringing this up only because I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's a place you should eat. I hate being one of those douchey people. It's like, I haven't eaten at McDonald's in forever. It has been a number of years. And I will say the one thing of theirs that I love, just love, is that stupid sausage McMuffin. I love it. I love that damn thing. And yeah, so I think the last time I went there, that was what I got. Love it. So damn good. Needless to say, McDonald's is making a big change to its operating hours. They're going to go to being open to midnight, possibly later in some locations. Apparently, you're going to be able to get all the crazy foods. They're also doing a special giveaway, and this is May 24th, tomorrow, for many of you, or today for some of you. But 24th being, Saturday. They're going to be doing these big giveaways, all sorts of crazy stuff they're giving out. So if you are a big McDonald's fan, or you got kids that love it or whatever, I know I've heard all sorts of, like my sister's kids, I think they live on mac cheese, Top Ramen, and McDonald's. I think these kids are seriously, they're probably scary on the insides. That's probably true, but whatever. So yeah, in case you guys are big Mickey D's fans, California sucks. I mean, it's a beautiful state. It's gorgeous here. We just really idiots when it comes to our government and how we govern. And did I mention our governor? Yeah. All those G words. A California athlete changes for her track practice in her car because they've got a transgender. This is high school, by the way. Got a transgender in their locker room. So this chick doesn't feel safe changing in the locker room. So she, and I think some of her other friends, not her car, but their own cars, are actually changing in their cars, which is probably not real good either, but better than changing in front of Schlong McLonger. LA's new $38.35 hotel minimum wage. This is gonna be one of the final. I'm kind of glad LA's doing this. LA, this is literally going to be one of the final nails in your coffin. What you've literally done is made it so extraordinarily expensive in LA that one, businesses will not move there. Two, a lot of the business trips that might have come to LA won't anymore. They'll actually meet either somewhere else or whatever, but they will not have them come here. So yeah, they're charging a ridiculous amount for any hotel worker that has more than 60 guests or 60 rooms. They get a $33 and something an hour. They also get a separate healthcare package. It's redeemable as cash if they want, which most people will get. So for the regular employees of hotels, they're going to get an extra $8.35 an hour. So on top of $38.35, they get another $8.35. Unless that's the $8.35 at the end. I don't know. That might be. Let me see. They say it here. To adopt $30 hotel minimum wage. The 30 minimum wage would apply to the hotels with 60 or more guests. Oh, so it is $30, and the extra $8.35 is for their wages. Still, that's a shit ton of money to pay people like that. So yeah, they're just going to make this very expensive to stay at these hotels. It's going to make smaller hotels more attractive because they're going to be significantly cheaper to get in rooms. Yeah, this is not going to help. And again, this is going to cause them to not have people come here. They'll meet in other places. They'll meet outside of LA. They'll have them fly into Long Beach and then meet them or whatever. I mean, there's just, oh, shoot, they could even do Orange County. It's not that far. Another interesting story happening. This is where, again, California failing to be smart in any way, shape, or form. Zachary Levi says that he said Hollywood's broken. So he's literally going to create a total studio out in Tejas, out there in Austin, which is weird because it is basically this horribly like California. It's like the part of California right in Texas. I don't know what you guys are doing there, but whatever. But yeah, he's speaking Thursday with Variety. He said the studio system, which has been rocked to its core over the past decade amid horrific history of dysfunctional power structures, rapidly changing technology and emerging business alternatives, was essentially obsolete a century ago. And what's fun is Trump's just said it's got to come back to the United States. Didn't say it has to go back to California. In fact, California's messing that up all on their own. There's many examples. California says it'll sue feds over electric vehicle rule reversal. Yeah, you're not going to win, though. You're not allowed to decide what the nation does, and you're not allowed to guarantee get your little vouchers. So, no, sorry, buddy. It's finally being stopped. You are not going to win. And we don't want him to. Gavin Newsom is a horrible person, frankly. U.S. Defense Chief Hegseth defends his monthly Pentagon prayer service. Think this is pretty cool stuff.
It's interesting. The question is, I've gotten some criticism for hosting a Christian prayer service at the Pentagon yesterday. We said it very publicly. We said it very proudly. Appealing to heaven, to God, is a long-standing tradition in our military. I'm very proud that we're starting a monthly voluntary service at the Pentagon. George Washington was on bended knee with the troops, praying for God's providence and protection in that moment. Chaplains and ministers and Christians and people of faith across generations have prayed because of the business that we're in. I mean, the business of the 82nd Airborne, and you watch that 911 button for the country, is a dangerous one on behalf of all of us. And we appeal to God. I appeal to Jesus Christ for that protection. And we're going to speak that word and be open and willing to talk about that at the Pentagon. If they want to criticize that, they're on the wrong side of a very important issue. So thanks for coming with us today. We'll see you on the other side. Thank you.
I like it. He seems like a good guy. Just kind of says hi, just some saluting, an important feller. I like how they're kind of in casual mode. And I do like that he's in good shape. He's not like, who's that? Was it Darth? Was it Darth what's-his-face? That was the guy that was his position. Can't even tell. Like the Biden's crazy one. He had the lady guy thing. And there's so many crazy things. It's hard to know who's who. Two major Mexican cartels merged to form a mega cartel. News at 11. Two of the most worst. One part of the Sinaloa cartel and the Chapitos. They are all going to be getting together and continue fighting. I guess the Jalisco Nueva Generacion cartel. It's like the other side of the Sinaloa cartel, I guess. So whatever. They're two groups coming together to attack another group. Not wholly unnormal. Part of me was wondering, I guess, when I first pulled the story, if they're preparing for a force large enough to take on our government, but that to me seems like a lofty goal. Seems oddly ignorant, too. So I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? If not, they're just trying to take down another rival cartel. It's all about drug wars and stuff like that, weapons and everything else. Kristi Noem blocks Harvard from enrolling foreign students. Now, Harvard almost immediately sued, and a judge almost immediately blocked the Trump administration from being able to do this, which is, again, not a surprise. Obama-appointed U.S. District Judge Allison Burroughs issued the stay. It's still going to move through the courts. Ultimately, I don't think the courts can stop the executive branch from doing this. I think they can try to slow it down. That's fine. We've gotten used to it, and we've had some major breaks, big time, go on our side of things. So that is something to keep in mind. Anti-Israel group that helped incite Columbia's library takeover praises D.C. shooter as an act of solidarity and love. Again, these are the people that, like Harvard, are on their campuses. Anti-Semitic, people that hate specific groups, people that obviously do violence, and this particular individual literally shot 2 individuals, shot the hell out of them, too. I guess the girl was trying to crawl away. She wasn't dead, and then he literally just unloaded the rest of his magazine in her, popped that out, put in a fresh one, racked it, and bye, and she seemed dead now. Like, he shot the shizzle out of her. So the dude was next level evil, kind of, I would say. Hard to say. Oh, My Pillow, guys. We got that great special that they gave us. Us and 2 other groups. I mean, we're up there with friggin' War Room, guys. That blew me away. War Room's got 1,000 subs in Rumble. I have, almost 63,000, 68, almost 63. They've got 1 million. I'm not even a tenth of their audience. And you guys got this deal. I'm just telling you. We're working good together here, folks. This exclusive special, free multi-use My Pillow 2.0 and USA Revival roll and go cover with any purchase. Any purchase, you're getting this free pillow. Any purchase. Now, if your purchase happens to be $100 or more, you're going to get $100 in digital coupons. Well, they say free, but technically you got to spend $100 to get the free $100. But you're going to get $100 and a free pillow. It's rad. This next generation drink is really good. It's great energy, extremely good taste. There's like no sugar, 10 milligrams of sodium. This is like pretty damn healthy. And when you're tasting it, you're like, I don't even understand how this is happening. My brain is like, there's nothing in this? How? I don't know. Very confusing. Get some towels. They've got the best towels anywhere. Get the dish towel, get the bath towel. I don't care what towel you get the beach towels. They've got the best towels ever. If you're somebody that's like, living in an apartment, you're barely making ends meet, right? You got one towel and you use it all the time. Get a couple beach towels, man. They're 50% off, and just use that when you towel off. It still works. And now you've got a towel to take to the community pool. Think about it. And they're 50% off. And you're going to get a free pillow that you can show off. Got, of course, the great crucifix that Mike Lindell wears all the time. Got one that's got like kind of black on the middle with silver on the outside, white in the middle, and some sort of like black on the outside. That one looks pretty cool too. They've got men and women's. They've got some very cool stuff. You're saving 50% on that with our sweet deal. Dog beds. I mean, if you actually love your dog, you've definitely got a dog bed from My Pillow. Why shouldn't they get to sleep on the same thing you get to sleep on? It's not fair otherwise. So again, My Pillow is going to jury trial June 2nd. They are looking for donations. It's also something you can do from here. And folks, the best pillow you're ever going to use, ever. Right here, the standard. This is the best thing. I love this pillow. Love it. It's my favorite. I know they got the 2.0. I still love this thing. And blankets of all kinds, shapes, and sizes. If it's specifically for pets, you're going to pay a little more for it. But otherwise, they've got throw blankets and they got a bunch of different blanket names that I'm drawing a blank. Usually I could think of 2 or 3 of them, but throw blanket's the only one I could think of. And that just to me is funny because it's just like, well, isn't anything that's a blanket that you throw is a throw blanket now? I think they're smaller. I don't need emails, please. I just find funny. I find things funny that normal people don't find funny, which makes it hard to, try to be entertaining, frankly. Let's be honest. They've also got a whole bunch of clearance stuff, too. Best pajamas are very, very comfortable, and they've also got bathrobes that are super, super cool. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. Once again, mypillow.com/OTF. They've got a phone number up here if you want to call in You can order. Those go straight to my channel. You're fine either way. Use coupon code OTF. You're going to be getting great savings. You're helping the channel. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. Get the best night of sleep you've ever had. You're going to be stoked that you did, too. So Elias Rodriguez is the Chicago far-left activist accused of shooting dead 2 Israelis outside the Capitol Jewish Museum. He's got a long history of support for BLM, Palestine, communist, and anti-white causes. These are people that really are doing so much damage to our country. And if he's not even here legally, which I don't know if he is or isn't, these would be the people for sure that should be removed immediately. This is the type of person. Now, obviously, he's already killed 2 people, which is really messed up. Iran says they're going to hold the U.S. responsible for any Israeli attack on nuclear sites. Basically saying, get your dog on a leash. Fair enough. I'm reasonably sure that Trump's probably said something to the effect of that to Netanyahu. Like, if you hit that nuclear facility without our knowledge, dude, I am not responsible for what they do to you. U.S. and Iran, they're going to resume nuclear talks amid clashing red lines. This is supposed to happen, I guess, let's see, on Friday. They started these talks today in Rome. So we'll see if that gets us anywhere. But while there's talks happening, obviously Israel can't attack the nuclear facility, which I know they want to. So that's an interesting kind of bit of timing there, and I'm sure there's something kind of worth saying. Turkey's Erdogan is going to, he's like, yeah, I don't want to run for president again. F this. I'm done. I'm done once this term's over. Dude's done, I think he's done a pretty good job in the big picture, considering how long he's been there and how much crazy shit's gone on since he's been there. Not necessarily in his country, but around him. I don't know. I think he's a good dude. I think he's on the right side of things. We'll see. And the reason I say, someone corrected me a while back, it said it's Erdogan. Trump pronounced it Erdogan. So I'm going to go with Trump's pronunciation. I think he's probably correct. Romanian court rejects defeated presidential candidate's call to annul election. Sorry. Missing a letter for that one. But yeah, the Romanian dude that lost that Trump liked tried to, obviously get courts to look at it closer. Didn't go over well. Donald Trump truthed this out. A major prisoner swap was just completed between Russia and Ukraine. It will go into effect shortly. Congratulations to both sides on this negotiation. This could lead to something big. He's like, please, can you guys finally friggin' stop killing each other? Ukraine seeks to cripple Moscow's airports. They've been attacking pretty hard. A lot of kamikaze drones. I guess they sent another 100 overnight, or at least overnight for us. Daytime for them for the most part. So they intercepted, I guess, most of these. Russian Defense Ministry says 485 drones were intercepted over the past 3 days. So, yeah, one would say a lot's happened. Supposedly no one died from the 100. A few people, 8 apparently, bystanders, were injured from falling debris. Or debris, as the Brits kind of say. Putin orders army to establish big border buffer zone inside Ukraine. It's just fun to say. What kind of buffer zone is it? It's a big border buffer zone? Oh, that's fun. Big border buffer zone. Alliteration. You nailed it, guys. Well done. Yeah, they're trying to set up a little bit of a border around these new areas that they've taken from Ukraine. That's been very confusing over the time because Russia is like, it's our land. And Ukraine's like, it's our land. And so, yeah, it's Russia's land right now. And I do not, I will even say, I don't support giving it back to Ukraine, frankly. I don't. I think the war played out. I think it was stupid. I think it never should have happened. I think it's our country's fault that really this whole thing played out the way it did. On numerous levels, we've made mistakes. We've done numerous things that I think was not cool. I'm not trying to badmouth our country, but I am badmouthing the deep state that's been running our country for decades and decades and decades and decades. So I'm badmouthing them, and I blame them for it. And no, we're not going to continue to do this. This is just stupid. So it needs to stop one way or the other. Jihadists launch deadly attack on Russian airbase on the Syrian coast. I thought this was weird. Obviously, it's probably tied into deep state. But the militants attacked a Russian airbase in Syria, apparently killing 2 soldiers. Kind of messed up. This is the only Russian airbase in this part of the world, in the Mediterranean. So this is an important base to Russia. Apparently the attack was by 2 individuals, if I remember correctly. If it's this, there was like 2 dudes that attacked that were people that were training Syrian soldiers. They were part of their training, like their Navy SEALs guys, basically. And so there's like 2 of those dudes. and they led this attack themselves and then got smoked. That's actually true. That's just stupid. I don't know what these dudes are like, hold my beer while I go do something extraordinarily dumb. I don't know. Doesn't sound like a good idea to me. U.S. agency votes to bar Chinese labs deemed security risks from testing U.S. electronics. Good. It's about the FCC. It says about 75% of all electronics are tested in labs located inside of China. Well, that seems stupid to take our electronics that we've manufactured, give them to a country that's notorious for stealing. Yeah, no, that's got to stop. So it seems to be. And finally, actor Jussie Smollett. He's got to pay $50,000 to the Chicago charity. They initially wanted to get like $130,000 from him, but he's got to pay $50,000 to a charity in the Chicago settling this lawsuit. So good. At least he got busted in some way, shape, or form, and his career has been mostly ruined. And damn, that's an ugly-looking Jack Home Dog. I'm just saying. Ugh, I say. Want to remind you guys where you can get a couple different things, but whoops, is not this though. You can get some merch. A couple places you can get merch for me or for me. I guess is kind of my merch and some other stuff. But go to truththread.shop. That's truththread.shop is certainly one of them. Got some cool stuff that's specifically Dan Radio style. They also sell some other interesting stuff that has to do with 9/11 and when Trump got shot, 6/11, and of course the 5G warfare. So other cool stuff. Go to truththread.shop. That's truththread.shop. And let's see if I can get the Dan I'd Rather. There it is. And the Dan I'd Rather site, if you want to pick those up, and that's a number of different shirts you can get it on, sweatshirts, a baseball shirt, which I've got a bunch of. But this is, of course, Dan I'd Rather, and on the back, I don't know if there's the back. Dan is the news now on the Fringe. Kind of simple, kind of fun. Certainly one I enjoy wearing as well. So if the easy way to get here, I'll just tell you, it's on the screen up there, but it's bonfire.com/Dan-I'd-Rather160. That's bonfire.com/Dan-I'd-Rather160. And yeah, you're gonna have the opportunity to help out another lady. She drew this natural disasters art, I guess is her company name. But she drew this, and I always thought it was cool. I don't make any money off either of the sites that are doing merch for me, but certainly always helps to have my face running around and stuff like that. So if you guys want to support, feel free to do that. All said, got a great music show that's going to be coming up in just about 2 hours from this moment or right now. I'm going to get the editing and get this uploaded so you guys can watch it before my show. I love you guys. Looking forward to another fun one. We got our $25 show tomorrow. Saturday is the fourth Saturday of the month, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. We will be doing a live show and got a couple interesting questions I want to ask our panel tomorrow, and I'm kind of curious what they say about some of it. Epstein's definitely one of the things we're going to discuss. That's for sure. That'll all be happening tomorrow, so make sure you join us for that as well. It's going to be good times. All said, we're doing this together, guys. You're not doing it alone. You're not in a vacuum. You've got a community here with us, and certainly many friends around us. Certainly you want to join some of the live shows for that reason, especially. You'd be amazed some of the cool people that are inside our chats. Very good stuff. And they are moderated too, so any craziness is dealt with very quickly, in fact. In fact, our music show, I think I got 3 moderators, and they will shut it down faster than you can say, shut it down. It's all happening. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.